We are live in the Empowered Mom Studios, and as you can see, I kind of have a new background behind me. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But first, I'm just going to ask you, are you putting Pitocin into your plans? Whether it's a project or maybe it's a relationship or a business that you're trying to create or even a baby, you really don't want to do that. And if you aren't familiar about the birth space, I am a birth worker. That is my book behind me. So I use a lot of birth metaphors. And one of the things that happens is that if a mom is failing to progress, then she's more likely to end up getting pushed into having Pitocin during her birth. And this is a synthetic form of oxytocin that just basically makes contractions longer, stronger, closer together. It's like basically slapping a ketchup bottle and expecting the ketchup to just magically come out. And they do the same thing with babies, and it basically just ruins the entire natural birth process, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so the reason why Pitocin is so evil is because it completely ruins the birth process and traumatizes mothers and makes them think that it was their bodies that were not working properly. They tend to have more complications. They're more likely to bleed after birth at a higher rate of hemorrhage. And this also leads to a lot of C-sections. Now, Pitocin in itself isn't evil. It does have a purpose. It was originally meant to contract the uterus to prevent hemorrhage. But then they discovered, as certain people that wanted to control birth even more, they're like, you know what? We could control birth now. We could get labor to start on our timetable. We could speed things up. And if the baby ends up in distress, we can just do a C-section, so it's not a big deal. So now they do a lot of Pitocin inside of the hospitals, and part of my job as a birth worker is basically to educate moms on physiological birth and basic interventions so that they know when to use this tool and when not. Because otherwise they're going to fall into a fear trap. They're going to think they need Pitocin. They're going to think that their bodies really aren't progressing. And then they're going to end up screwing up their birth plan. And they don't want that. A lot of moms, especially first-time moms, are like, I want to have a natural birth. I don't want a C-section. And by the time they have their second, third, fourth baby, if they've been traumatized over and over in the system, they're more likely to just keep scheduling C-sections, or they're fighting against the system and being told they're not allowed. Again, this is part of my business of what I do. I'm a birth worker. It's not all I do. In fact, currently I'm writing another book. It's sort of a prequel and sequel for your empowered birth. And it's called No More Mommy Martyr, and it basically follows this principle. But at the same time as me writing the book, I'm also not putting Pitocin into it. So I have no deadline for this book. I have no certain amount of chapters that I have to write. In fact, my process is very much, if I'm starting to feel that energy that I need to move it through me, then I can get probably I'd say 44K words in a week. Yeah, I've written 44K words in a week way back in June. And then I took a little bit of a break. I got onto a seminar and I got onto a expo, and I was learning from my mentors, and I was basically taking that time to absorb. I was also recalibrating my space. So that's part of where this comes in. So normally I'm in my living room. But because I'm also in a basement suite and it's a 1-bedroom, I deliberately have downsized. I'm not worrying too much about trying to get more space or pay more in rent. Rent can be astronomical. And with money being kind of an issue right now, I'm really looking at how can I make this space work, even if I needed to do it for another month or two. So my son is currently hanging out with my dad and my grandparents. So he'll be gone for a little bit. But when he comes back, he's got a space now. So the living room has been converted into his bedroom. And he wanted to sleep on the couch. He didn't want to move any furniture around. But I'm like, okay, well, if he's always sleeping on the couch and it's summertime and I don't have a space during the day, how am I going to be able to thrive? Because I'm not just about survival and I'm not about letting go of my plans. even when things are falling apart, I'm still working towards my goals. So one of my goals is writing this book, No More Mommy Martyr. Another one, I wanted to be able to record still. I love going live, and my stream of consciousness is also helping others. So like they just come across my channel by chance and they're like, you know, I normally don't watch these because like if something's suggested to me, I don't normally watch it, but like this called to me and they watched and they're like, this was exactly what I needed. And that's what I created the channel for. It's not for likes or for a big following. It's mostly because, you know, sometimes you just come across a video or you come across a book and it was exactly what you needed to hear. So my book and everything is exactly what people need to hear. And I've been kind of having this book inside me for a while. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to birth it. But I need to have the right environment, because part of my 5 pillars, of course, is pillar number 3, the right environment. So I am in a bedroom and I share it with my daughter, and I wanted to make sure that that space had everything that I needed. I needed my books. I didn't want to have to go into the living room, interrupting my preteen son's space and having to keep going back and forth to get the books that I wanted. It's like, you know what? I need to recalibrate this space. So like one of these shelves behind me was in the living room, and it had all of my books and everything. And then I had another shelf that had books. And then this other shelf here that's like, there's 2 of them and they're matching. But it went to my daughter and she had all her toys. But, you know, she doesn't really play with a lot of her stuff anymore. And I'm like, you know, we could probably downsize this. We could probably put these little cube boxes under your bed and like tidy up and make it easier for you to access. And then anything that you don't really play with can go into the back room in our storage. And she's like, okay. So I took one of the days where I wasn't focused on writing my book because I'd already written about 44K words. I'm like, you know what? I can take a break at this point. It's okay. I've got a few chapters out. I know where I'm going now. I've got my stream of consciousness. I can go back and edit it later. I do my own editing, and for reasons I'll tell you about another time. But basically I'm like, okay, I'm going to recalibrate this space so that I don't have to worry about putting Pitocin in anything. I don't have to feel stress as I'm working through my process. Because, you know, when you're stressed out, when your environment doesn't reflect what you're working towards, then that's when you start to feel that pressure to get it done faster, because you're like, as soon as I get this done, then I can clean up the rest of the space, or I need to get this done before I can do my project. So I was really thinking, it's like, okay, I want my inspirational paintings behind me. And then I also have a new one that I just recently painted as well. So it's now a set of 4. And then additionally, I'm like, okay, I want my books behind me. I want a certain theme with it. I've got my, you can't really see it, but I have crystals, I have my candles, and I have like a whole bunch of fake money. Like, see? Fake money. I got that from my mentors. They had it in one of their little gift bags. And I'm like, you know what? This is something that I want to add because I'm calling in my abundance. So I've basically set up this space to be my oasis. I mean, it's really just my bed, and it's bookshelves, and it's a painting. Like, that is the only space I have. And I make it work because I'm focused on my projects and I'm focused on what I need. So sometimes you don't really have a lot to go on. The first time that I was working on, like, basically trying to build my business, I had been in my dad's den. And I made that space work too. So if you're still trying to get ready for something and you don't have the space perfect, it's okay. Just like carve out a little tiny piece of heaven for yourself. Like, this is my little piece of heaven. The rest of the house can be complete chaos, and it won't matter, because as long as this space is my little piece of heaven, then it won't matter what else is on the outside, what other chaos is going on. I can still take that time to work on my book. And you know, the same thing with relationships is that sometimes you don't want to put Pitocin into it. You don't want to rush it. Same with your business. You don't want to rush that either. If you try to outsource, if you try to speed things up, you might miss something. And so I've been very intentional about how I've been growing all three. Growing my projects, growing my business, and my relationship with my true love partner. It's been very much like, look, if you have to focus, like I know you hyper focus on things, I know you need to get it done. And I know that when you need to get it done, you go into that space of like just focusing on that one thing. And you know, that's why with my process too, I'm the same way. I'm really focusing on one thing, but all of that one thing actually connects to a big web of network of what I'm really doing. So once I have my book, what that's going to do is that's going to launch Carly Bondrewd Uncensored. And it's going to launch the other side of what I'm building that will then also connect to my true love and what we'll probably be building together. Most likely, I don't know what it is that we're going to be building. I just know that we're definitely going to be building something, and it's going to be epic. And you know, you don't always know what it is or how it's going to unfold until you're in it. And that's the same thing with birth. So in the system, they really want things predictable, and you usually have a plan. And the same thing with business is like you're supposed to have like a 5-year plan, a 15-year plan, and you write it all out. I don't go that way. I really just focus on what is in my heart and what is really speaking to me, and then I just go. Like even my outline for my book was very, very much, okay, this is like the structure that I've created, and then I flow. Like the words just come out, the metaphors, the analogies that I have, the stories that I've woven into this book. Like everything is super intuitive. And so one of the chapters I finished in my book, so this is going to make it easier for the rest of them, is I finished chapter 5, which was my 5 pillars, recalibrated outside of the birth space. And then after that, chapter 6, which was basically the pre-motherhood plan. So ambitious women who want to have a family, but they don't want to self-sacrifice. They don't want to fall into that mommy martyr. I'm going to lose my business. I'm going to lose my career. I'm going to lose all my dreams. And it's just going to be about my kids for the rest of my life. And I'm just going to have to settle with my partner. And then there's also that fear of becoming a single mom, because, you know, we really don't want to get started unless we have everything ironed out. And, you know, I really have been thinking about that a lot, because I had sort of been in the space of planning ahead for my birth. I'd also known very consciously, very early on, that the kind of mother I wanted to be was not going to be the self-sacrificing kind. I like to get the last piece of pie. I don't want to have to give that up. And I wasn't going to sacrifice my dreams on the altar of motherhood. So this entire chapter, it's huge. It's like 30K, or something like that. It's ridiculous how many words it is. And at the same time, it works like a program. So this book is going to be much, much thicker than Your Empowered Birth. And it's going to be the roadmap, but it's also a choose your own adventure kind of idea. So it's really cool. And if you want to know more about it, you can always reach out to me. I do have that first chapter. I'm looking for beta testers as well. So beta readers to go through my rough draft and maybe get just a few chapters, see how it goes. Because, you know, I've put it through ChatGPT already, and it's told me the psychology of what I've done here and then where I'm going with it. So I kind of already know what I'm looking for. And what I'm looking for specifically is for ambitious women who either are already mothers or thinking about becoming a mother, or even turning into a single mother by whatever circumstances. I mean, sometimes you realize that the man that you were with for 13 years is actually not very good for you and is holding you back from your dreams, and you need to cut those ties and you need to fly free. And you also don't want to sacrifice your dreams when you're doing that, so you need to have that plan in place. So those chapters will be available once they're written. But right now I have the pre-motherhood plan. So if you are a woman of a certain age, like maybe you're in your late 20s, 30s, hey, even 40s. I mean, if you want to have kids and you still, the biological clock isn't ticking that much, you know. I've seen women that are in their 40s and they start their families and they have healthy babies and they even have them at home. So it's not over for you. And, you know, calling in that true love partner, you really want to be able to do that in an intentional way. Because, you know, the universe is going to kick your ass whether you move or not. And it's much easier to go through that process of transformation and be able to get to the other side when the bridge is crumbling if you know where you're going. And so this allows you to create your own roadmap. And, you know, if you want that, you can just reach out to me, just DM me, let me know that you're interested. And, you know, I love to just give my book out, just like the chapters, and just be like, hey, yeah, check this one out for me. Tell me what you think. Let me know what works for you. What insights did you get from it? Because, you know, I've set up ChatGPT to be like my best friend, like my bestie, and it's also got my consciousness. So there's other insights that other people are going to get from that book that I didn't even think of. And then that's going to also inspire me to create more and go deeper, because I can go 10 layers deep on everything. So again, all you have to do is DM me and I will let you know if that book is up for you to just check it out, or you can get on the wait list when it's actually launched. I mean, I don't know exactly when I'm going to have the hard copy version, but I tend to do a PDF first and then I refine it later. So I did the same thing with Your Empowered Birth. I created a PDF. I gave it to my community. They looked it over. They're like, oh my gosh, this is a wealth of information. I wish I'd had this book when I was pregnant with my first baby. This is going to be kind of the same thing. It's going to be bigger and it's going to have more in it. It's also going to be like me coaching you without me actually coaching you. And the reason for that, again, is information is free and I only charge for access to me. I don't care if you get my book off of Amazon or if you pick it up in a library or if a friend lends it to you or you listen to it on audio and somebody gave you their Audible. I mean, it's not the money for me, it's the impact. Besides, if you wanted me to walk you personally through the actual program and customize it to you, that is the service that I actually provide. It's what I do with my clients for the birth space too. I mean, I'm like, have you read my book yet? Because I'm going to be asking you the questions around what you were coming up with within that actual book. And if you don't have the book, then you don't have the baseline for us to really go through. I'm not going to be able to 10x your results as fast as possible. I'm not going to be able to accelerate it if I don't have anything to work with. So that is one of my reasons why I'm so expensive as a coach, because I really want to get that narrow focus and get them exactly where they want to go at like 10 times faster than what they would have accomplished on their own. And then I also have my self-study path, which allows them to go through the courses and programs and everything, and then get just one laser coaching session with me, or two if it's the whole thing. And so that's really what I'm building in my next level, because I started off empowering moms and I realized birth is a metaphor for life. And so I'd always sort of had this dream that moms would no longer get the short end of the stick. And now that I've written one book and I know my process and I know I don't put Pitocin into it, I don't speed up my process without knowing how to facilitate it. Now I'm doing the same with this book. So I'm going to go and do some more stuff. If you follow my channel, you might also find little threads that I'm scattering of the magic that is inside of No More Mommy Martyr, because, you know, information is free and I only charge for access to me. But once that book is done, then what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to get onto the live streams and I'll be able to put things on YouTube. And I'll also be able to refer back to my book, and I'll say, if you want to go deeper with that, you can go into my book. So you really need to be taking time in creating your project or in building a relationship with someone or building your business, and basically bootstrap it so that you know the ins and outs and how it works. You don't want to write your book with AI, okay? Like, you really don't. So the thing you really need to understand, though, is that if you know the ins and outs of your book, which you can't do if you have AI write it for you, because AI is not your own consciousness. It's not giving you the time to really work through your thought process You can use AI in the sense of like copy paste your work, put it into the chat GPT and have it reflect it back to you to give you more insights. But never ever have somebody else write something for you, because then what happens is you don't have your authentic voice. And then if you don't have your authentic voice, you can't do what I do. See, I know the ins and outs of my book. I know the ins and outs of my process. I know how every little piece works in my business. I know how every piece works in who I am. And ultimately, I learn about my client as well, and then we alchemize that. So if you aren't doing that, if you're just focused on the result, like the baby, then what happens is you're like, well, I don't care how it gets here as long as it gets here. And it's like putting Pitocin in, because yeah, you'll get that baby out somehow. Could come out as a C-section, could come as a very, very traumatic induction, could come as very, very traumatic Pitocin-induced labor where they augmented it and you had a lot of pain and you didn't go through your labor process and you didn't get to experience what's called the portal. You don't go into that labor trance, you don't get that full experience. So you don't know the ins and outs of your body. You aren't tuned into your body. So you really need to understand that. And same thing if you outsource your business, or if you try to speed up a relationship because you think, oh, this seems like the real thing. And then down the line you realize, oh my gosh, I was squinting so hard because I just was really focused on that ring and that family that I wanted. But now I realize the partner I have is not it. And you know, even with my work, like creating my YouTube channel, not my Carly Bondred Uncensored, but my birth one, there's actually a person that was following me, mom to be, like she wants to have kids someday. She wants to have a natural birth. She was doing the proactive thing of being like, you know what? Before I even get pregnant, I'm going to learn this because I want to avoid a C-section. She found my channel, but she had been engaged at the time. And then what happened is that because I was sharing about category 5s and about my own experience, she came to the conclusion on her own that the man that she was choosing to marry was outwardly controlling. And whenever she brought up her birth plan of what she wanted, he's like, no, because I'm paying for it. So you're not going to have a home birth. You're not going to do this. And she's like, oh, you're going to control my birth. Oh, you're a category 5. So then like a few weeks ago, she comments on my channel because she comments on pretty much all of my videos. And I absolutely love her for this. But she comments on it and she's like, I left my narc ex. And I'm like, what? And she's like, I left my category 5 partner. She's not engaged anymore. It's like, oh my gosh, that's like way better than just having an empowered birth, because now she has saved herself from something that I wouldn't wish on anyone, to be honest. I mean, it gave me a lot of lessons, but at the same time, like there's just no way in hell that I would ever wish that on any other woman. So I kind of told her, it's like, I'm really proud of you for doing this and like just putting this out there. I have a chapter of my new book that I'm writing and it would be perfect for you. So just reach out to me. And when she reaches out to me, she's getting that chapter. So yeah, I mean, you really have to know your business. You have to know your people. You have to know the person that you are going to build a relationship with. And you need to constantly be thinking heart, not head. Because if you think head and you're thinking result and you're not thinking about the long-term effects, then that's when you end up putting Pitocin in things and screwing it all up. And you don't want to do that. So I'm writing my book from my heart. And I'm calling in my true love, and he knows where he is, and he knows what he's doing, and he knows that if he's got things he's got to do first before he comes in, as soon as he's done those things, you know, it's just like he can get over here. And at the same time, like things are kind of falling apart right now. I mean, this is kind of funny. So I'm building I've got my next levels of my business and everything. I've got my book. And my stove is completely shot, so I have no stove. The fridge is kind of shot now. It's not working properly. It was kind of starting to go for a while. I'm like, what's going on here? And now it's like finally to the point where it's like, okay, I have to just be really intentional in how I'm gathering my resources and recalibrate and just make it work until something else comes in. And I'm thriving. I'm not panicking about it. It's like I know that like something will give and it'll all fall into place, so I don't really worry anymore. I take care of it. And that's the energy that you really need for transformation. And it's all going to be in my book. So that's pretty much what I have for you. And as I said, this will be on Carly Uncensored later, Carly Barnard Uncensored, and you can go and check out the actual YouTube channel. I have a whole archive of ideas and things that I basically have been putting in my consciousness, and some of it will make it into the book and some of it won't. But if you really like to go down that little rabbit hole of information and just that inspiration, then yeah, just go check out the channel. It's awesome. People are starting to find it already. I didn't exactly advertise it or anything. I didn't splash it anywhere. I have no ads running. This is kind of just like my little secret community. So if you want to be part of that, you can just head on over there. Instagram, as I said, cuts in and out, so it can be a pain in the ass. The only bonus is that you do have me live. So you can watch me in the live sense that you get that energetic transmission. And that's like if at any time you wanted to ask a question, sometimes I read the questions, sometimes I don't. One thing is that there's a lot of guys that tend to try to follow me, and then they're like, hey, and they're like, Navi, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like Navi from, I don't know if you've played Zelda Ocarina of Time, but there's this little annoying fairy that continuously tries to get your attention, and sometimes it's for some side quest, or sometimes it's for the main quest, and I'm like, no, I'm focused on this right now, because this is going to build the foundation for that. Like, go away, Navi. Like that kind of thing. So I don't always look at the comments, and some of the comments I'm like, I'm not even going to address that because, like I don't need to. But, if you do have a question or you want to dive deeper, you can always reach out. And sometimes my friends come on and they say hi too. And, I get into little conversations with them. I mean, this is really just my personal channel. This isn't a business channel or anything like that. The only reason why it's verified, if you are wondering about that, is because I actually had my Facebook hacked back in December. And I'm like, well, that isn't going to work for me because the foundation and the memories and everything that's precious to me, I'm not willing to lose that. So I will invest in things when it comes to protecting what's important. I invest my time, I invest my money. I just basically recalibrate and allocate to what I want. So I invest time in my relationship with my true love, and I invest time into writing my book, and I invest time with my kids. I mean, those are the big three for me, is my business, my love, and my kids. So aside from that, information is free. I charge for access to me, and if you want to collaborate, if there's like a speaking thing or there's some topic that you'd like me to go deeper on, I can structure that into an actual talk. I can speak it on a YouTube channel. I can speak it on a podcast. I mean, I'm very versatile in what I do. And at the same time, it has to work for my schedule. So that's why I do things the way I do in my business, because I'm thinking long-term strategy. I'm not just thinking about the result. I'm not just thinking of the money. I'm not just thinking of the power and prestige. I'm not even just thinking about creating the project. I'm creating the long-term impact. And, what I really feel is that if you want to build something to last, whether it's a relationship or have your birth experience be everything you want it to be, or to build a business that's actually going to stand the test of time and become that legacy and impact that you want, then you can't cut corners. You've got to just go through that process, and you need to know yourself. And you're going to only have things grow to the extent that you grow. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know when I'm going to be on again because, it is summer, but you know where to find me. You know where my channel is. You know what I'm working on now. I'm working on this really awesome book. And, you know, if a certain person was to suddenly be done working on whatever it is that he is working on, which I know is probably freaking epic, and I know he gets down those little rabbit holes, and he just likes to build things, and he's really good at building. But, you know, if he was to suddenly reach out, I mean, I've got things pretty much to the point where we could take that time to reconnect, and I've also got the balance so that when he's doing his thing, I can do my thing. And, you know, you get it done and you find that balance, right? And, you know, when you're committed, then, and you're committed from the heart, not just, you're not just in the head saying you're committed, but you're actually embodied in your commitment, then, you know, things just fall into place when they're meant to, right? So, I love you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you've got the sunshine, go enjoy it. If you've got a project to go and create, just remember, trust the process. Don't be putting no Pitocin in it, because you're just not going to like the results. It's not going to be sustainable. It's going to cause trauma. You might miss things. You might get the wrong thing. So really, really think about that. And, you know, just flow with life. If these paintings also kind of inspire you, if they bring delight to you, then, you know, that's another thing. You can always add more delight to your space. I mean, this is just like, come on, this is freaking cool. I'm now on my bed and I'm like chilling out, and this space still works. So have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Namaste.